Smile, Lolita.
Oh, thanks. I practiced.
Okay, so let's go. So I will start stepping in. I think everything is ready, and is the connection done? Because I didn't check that. Yeah, we are starting. Yeah, so we are live. Yeah. So welcome to TribeAfrica, how digital blockchain can make an impactful difference in the continent. So I welcome everyone today from all over places in the world. And I would like to, first of all, thank all my guests for this YouTube live that is in partnership with Luz Media and with the TribeAfrica and Digiclan. And I have fantastic special guests today that I want to highlight and I want to start presenting. I have a huge passion for Africa. I've been working with the continent for the last, actually all my life, since my family was partly in Africa, and I've been as well going to Africa and doing a lot of different things. What is interesting here is talk about hope, talk about the good things that are happening, that normally when we talk about Africa, there's a lot of mixed feelings. There's fantastic passion for the continent. I think everyone shares that. It's the birth continent of human civilization. But there's a lot of as well myths around the innovation, around the different things. So today we want to talk a bit about how to look at the positive side of this, how to leverage and to understand a bit more about Africa, and as well how to look at the people that make the new Africa 2.0 and the Africa tribe that is all over the world, all over the planet, with a massive energy, with a lot of things happening. So I want to start by introducing our special guests that are really African powerhouses, all of them. I'm the only one not African, so I'm very excited about well, I am partly African because of my family, because my uncles and a lot of people lived in Africa, but not myself, so I'm very excited about that. And I'll start by as well opening to the community that is listening to us all over the world, that feel free to interact, to ask questions, and to engage, because that's the idea of this, is to make sure that this is as well a celebration and as well an highlight of the wonderful things that are happening in the continent. And I think there's a lot of things that people don't know about it, and I think it's really important to highlight that. So I welcome, and they are all, you're seeing all of them. So I welcome, I'll go by order. So Jewel Okwechime, that is a global environmental leader and business thought leader and a lot of different areas, that has been working in change management, board of advisory of companies. She's as well a thought leader in the areas of business, technology, engineering, and oil and gas, but as well ultimately very focused on the areas of fintech and as well in biohacking and wellness. And she will introduce herself. And at the moment, her position is non-executive director and chairman of DFD Group, a fast-growing group in Nigeria that is having footprint both in Nigeria but in all the continent, and as well all over the world, and as well footprint in UK. And then I welcome Lolita Ejiofor, that is an IT expert and been working a lot, especially in the areas of finance and technology. And she's been a project manager for over 20 years, delivering solutions to a wide spectrum of industries, including banking, transport, and the governments like the UK, but as well all over the world, and especially, of course, involved as well a lot in Africa. And at the moment, she's as well in the primary mortgage bank, Abbey, building a lot of the footprint in terms of technology, but as well making a lot of bridges between the community, the IT systems, the engineer, and as well this leading mortgage bank in Nigeria. Then I'll welcome Ized Uanikhehi. So I'll apologize for my pronunciation. That is a marketing and tech expert and co-founder of Luz Media, a digital marketing agency and platform in Africa. This is as well behind the Digiclan and as well leading the TribeAfrica new community, which I'm a very excited to sponsor and as well to mentor and help growing all over the world. And last but not least, Hilton Supra, which is as well South African. All the other three ladies are from Nigeria and UK, actually. And Hilton is South African, as well as citizen of the world, at the moment based in Lisbon, but as well was born and raised in South Africa, and has been working in finance, hedge funds, a former Deutsche Bank, and as well been working in a lot of innovation between finance and technology, a lot of projects as well in Africa. And then as well at the moment is leading part of the group Ztudium that I'm partly involved as well. And this is an initiative powered by our initiative openbusinesscouncil.org, Summit and Awards, and of course in partnership with Luz Media and TribeAfrica Digiclan. So I want to welcome our guests, and I'm very excited to talk here with all of you. I'll start by you, Jewel. Do you want to introduce yourself and give a bit of your overground and fantastic career that you've been doing from the UK to Africa, Nigeria, and as well, now we are all a bit confined in different parts of the world, but I would like to hear about you and a bit of introduction from you.
Okay, my name is Jewel Okwechime. I am by background a chartered chemical engineer and also an environmentalist. I've worked in the oil and gas industry for over 20 years. Companies such as BP, ExxonMobil, Shell, Schlumberger, and among others, and Woodside, which is the largest in Australia. So I have worked all over the world, and with that, I have built a group of private equity guys and got myself involved in investments. I've invested in oil and gas companies in Australia, and these assets are in Africa, in places like Morocco and Madagascar as well. And with that, I kind of moved into the investment side of things. I've worked for one of the largest, one of the most powerful men in Africa, Tony Elumelu. I worked for him as his senior assistant, and with that, I basically started to learn a little bit more about the other industries in Nigeria, such as agriculture, hospitality, Transcorp Power, and Transcorp Oil and Gas as well. And recently, now I've moved into the financial industry as a non-executive of BFD Group, which is a group that invested in Abbey Mortgage Bank with owning about 35% of Abbey. And with that, I'm on the board of Abbey as a non-executive director, as well as BFD, and also with a media company called Luz Media. And that's just a bit of what I'm doing at the moment. And also, like, my hobbies are wellness and biohacking. So I'm kind of like, I geek out a lot on biohacking and health and everything else. And the whole fintech stuff is really excited. And I'm really excited about fintech. Since I've known you, Dinis, you've been a great mentor and teacher when it comes to the whole what's going on in the financial industry in terms of fintech and blockchains and artificial intelligence. So I've enjoyed learning from you and working with you, and so it's an exciting time for me right now, and I'm happy to be here. So that's about it for me in a nutshell. Hope that's enough.
No, that's fantastic. And I think for the people that know Jewel like I do, she's a force of nature, black magic lady that has a fantastic capacity of leadership, but as well involved in a lot of different projects and pushing an energy in everything she does. So I'm very excited to be collaborating with her, and I know her for 10 years. So I will want to pass right now the word to Lolita as well. So joining us, I think from Nigeria, that is as well been working in a lot of projects. So Lolita, I would like to hear from you.
Thank you very much, Dinis. My name is Lolita Ejiofor. Currently, I'm working in Abbey Mortgage Bank as the group head for IT and resources. So I'm in the place I'm supposed to be, because my previous journey, I was running away from tech 20 years prior. I was running away from it, but I gradually moved into it by accident, having worked for a company which caters to the air transport industry. I went there as a as a bidding coordinator, and then suddenly there was a reorganization, and I went into project management. Then from project management, it was project management of tech projects, of all the systems, telecom systems. And gradually, I grew to enjoy tech because it was so innovative. And then I moved into Fujitsu, where I was for 7 years, and providing project management professional services to the UK government and other the private sector. And from then onwards, coming into Abbey, where the potential of growth was immense. There was a lot of work I could get my teeth into, and especially with digital finance. So it was a great opportunity, the right time for me to come back. And we're just growing the organization now. It's very much aware of what's going on in the tech industry and what's even happening in Africa, even in Nigeria itself. So I'm glad to be here talking about my favorite subject. In my spare time, I'm actually a brown belt in Taekwondo. I'm still working on my flexibility, but my teacher's very encouraging. So I'm hoping that I'll move to red belt very soon. Thank you, Dinis.
Thank you so much, Lolita. It's amazing to have you here. And I think especially I love that we have power ladies as well working in banking, finance, and technology, which is very important because, of course, it's one of the biggest challenges to bring women to technology, but as well making this mainstream thing, and especially education is critical. So Ized, now you as well, so you are more on the digital side of the group here, and you've been leading both Loose Media, but as well the areas of Digiclan and TribeAfrica. So tell us about you and what you've been doing in these areas, and as well formerly you were in CNN Africa.
Yes, I was. So for the people listening, my surname is pronounced Uanikhehi.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all of you, actually.
That's fine. And
okay.
I'm the MD CEO of Loose Media. It's a digital marketing agency out of Lagos, Nigeria. We service clients across Africa and in the UK too. I'm also the convener of a community of digital marketing professionals, enthusiasts, and people who are excited about digital marketing. It's called Digiclan. Digiclan is a community that is founded on the principles of Ubuntu. I am who I am because of who you are. It's a community that is growing to help each other. So not just the industry, but also the individual growth in across Africa. So it's called Digiclan Africa. And what else? The tribe. So the TribeAfrica actually started as a pod to drive engagement across social media, and it's grown into this huge thing that huge community of people that work together to ensure that we can push brands to the forefront of to where their target audience can't see them, and where they can drive engagement and connect with their target audience. I'm excited to be here. I mean, I'm following Joel and Lolita. It's hard to have all of their backgrounds, but I've been in the marketing industry for 15 years now, and it's my thing. It's my thing. I'm very passionate about, marketing. I'm very passionate about changing skeptics to believers. I'm very passionate about taking a not known brand and making it one of the popular brands across Africa and across, globally. So for me, marketing is my thing. I don't go to work. I go to have fun every day because I'm right in the middle of what I love to do. So I've worked across industries for different brands, tech, fintech. That's the good thing about marketing. You can work for an oil and gas agency or for fintech or for just about anything. Currently working with a musician now, so it's just really interesting. It's just a really interesting field to be in, and I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I think you are known as well as King Ized, which I love it. Very provocative. So I think I want to welcome to all the people here. So we have already 230 people joining us from Africa, and I'm sure from other parts of the world. So last but not least, Hilton Supra. Of course, we are partners, but you are as well a thought leader on your own, and as well with a huge background in finance. That is, of course, the names of the organization you've been working from Deutsche Bank to some of the biggest hedge funds in the world speak for themselves, and as well as an African and South African that know a lot, and actually you have investments in Tanzania. So you represent a lot of another part of Africa, which is interesting. So Hilton, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello everybody. Well, I'm probably the oldest one sitting here. I was born back in 1960, so you can do the math. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, I can.
It's going. Go, Hilton.
I can hear you.
I was born back in 1960 in South Africa, and when I was 17, my father was and my parents were quite active in the political side, and my father was impolitely asked to leave the country, or with the threat of being put in jail. So we went to England. We lived in England since then, and I was educated in England, and then I went to Oxford Polytechnic and did engineering, and that followed a career. I went from an engineer to become a financial engineer in the City of London, and my career took it from there, where I was basically combining technology with the businesses I was involved in. So I ended up being working in quantitative asset management, Deutsche Bank, using quantitative techniques on the capital market side. Then I moved into a very, very strong asset management business, which grew rapidly out of California. And then I moved into hedge funds, which I think was one of my happy places. One of the interesting things about hedge funds and funds of hedge funds was at that time is that the type of clients that I was involved in, funny enough, weren't the mainstream. And I actually had a few clients in Africa, which I was very proud of, purely because of the way, when you talk about hedge funds, and people go, oh my God, why would you take something so risky to Africa? Well, on the contrary, it's not risky. It's a completely de-risked strategy and ensures that there's a protection of capital. So I was very pleased to say that even through the crisis of 2008, 2009, our portfolios behaved as they should have behaved, and we didn't lose money. So we were very pleased that that strategy actually worked. We didn't know that the crisis was coming at that time, but it was a very, very interesting time. So as Dinis said, I'm passionate about Africa. I've traveled extensively in Africa. Funny enough, one country I have not been to yet is Nigeria. I have not even Cameroon or that northwest bit. For some reason, I've just done that whole southern eastern bit. So Tanzania, Kenya, Malawi, South Africa, Zimbabwe. I know all that area very, very, very well. So, but I'm waiting for an invitation to come over there.
I'm sure you're going to do a lot of things in Africa and in Nigeria.
Yes,
much more.
I'm passionate about the use of technology and the way that technology can empower people. And I love the idea of Digiclan and TribeAfrica, and I'm really, really keen to get involved and work with all of you, because I think you have a great opportunity here to really, really amplify the message.
So I think I will step in with some of the data that I brought for this live. So I think one thing, and now going straight away to the topic that is about how digital and blockchain can empower and make an impactful difference in the continent. And I want to start by a very big number that people forget. So by 2050, 2 in every 5 children in the world will be born in Africa. Okay, this is a big, big number. So that means the future is African. Okay, and this is a big, it's not my numbers, this is the World Economic Forum data. So this is a big, big thing. That means education is key. The urban population is expected to triple in Africa in the next 30 years. And as well, 77% of the population in Africa is below 35 years old. So this is an astonishing numbers. And as well, this implies that with good education, Africa can leapfrog the rest of the world that is becoming old and has a lot of issues in special legacy systems and technology. So I start by this. I want to as well look at some other macro numbers. So the African countries are no strange to the use of digital solutions, both for money transfers. M-Pesa start in Nigeria or in Kenya, and as well as been a big case study worldwide of mobile money. It was actually one of the first solutions on this area in terms of fintech and innovation, and as well in terms of the areas of mobile telecommunications usage in Africa has enabled the continent to leapfrog many first world countries. And mobile phone usage grew from less than 3% to 80% in the last decade. There is already an abundance of local mobile and e-payment platforms that have seized this as an opportunity to develop innovative ways to reduce the friction associated with especially money transfer and all the areas of telecoms and different things. Nigeria has been on the forefront mostly because of M-Pesa, but Kenya, but Nigeria right now is leading the economy in the country, as well with the possibility to become one of the biggest and wealthiest countries in the world. And as well, in terms of the population at the moment, there's a lot of the differences between the population in different parts of the continent. But I think what I'm very excited is the young population, completely digital, with a possibility to leapfrog, and as well, if it's well educated, that can actually create a lot of solutions. So for instance, if you try to hire someone in Fiverr upfront of all these kind of multiple communities worldwide related with e-commerce or mobile freelance, most of these people are coming from Africa. There's fantastic work and fantastic capacities. And there's a lot of innovation being created in the continent. Of course, the continent has a lot of challenges. There was a very bad article from Economist that took down and put the lost generation. But I think it's completely the contrary. I think it's actually the opportunity, like you mentioned, Hilton. And I think there was, especially in the last 10 years, a lot of global banks left Africa, which was probably a big mistake. But at the moment, there's a huge right now capacity to take this, and especially Africa with such young population can actually advance much more and take other opportunities that the rest of the world is missing. When it comes to blockchain, which is a very complex but at the same time very simple technology, so I will try not to go too much. This is not an event about just about blockchain. It's about digital transformation and how digital transformation can actually change and leapfrog Africa. That's the idea of this live. But I wanted just to demystify why blockchain is so important for Africa. At the moment, for instance, Nigeria is the second biggest country in the world when it comes to cryptocurrencies transfers. But as well, blockchain technology, let's put it in a simple way for the people listening to us. Blockchain technology is the internet of trust. So it's creating a layer of trust in the communications we're using in the internet. So let's say when you are using Google or search engines or any e-commerce platform, you don't know exactly who is behind the account. It can be a dog, it can be anyone, it can be a robot. But the point is that using blockchain technology, you're going to be able to create a digital certification for the people, identity, which is the critical element. And this is a big thing in Africa. There's still, Africa is still a very unbanked continent. What I mean by this is that most of the population in Africa, or a huge part of the population, is still not full banked. So it doesn't have access to banking solutions. So that means the banking industry will, of course, grow massive. And as well, when it comes to insurance, to a lot of solutions, a lot of things can be done. So the blockchain technology is a technology that can empower this, but is a layer that we use with a lot of different technologies. So it's not like a bullet, a silver bullet that will solve all the problems. By the contrary, it's just another technology that is called a foundational technology together with artificial intelligence. And then when I like this because there's so much is used. So in the end of the day, is the ledger of data. Like, let's say at the moment, the biggest technology in the world is paper. And people forget this. You have a paper for your birth certificate, you have a paper for your marriage, you have a paper for your university certificate. For anything, it's about paper. This is the mainstream technology still in the world, in every country, not just in Africa. From US is actually right now becoming probably more delayed than actually Africa. I've been working with a lot of countries in Africa, and for instance, the US has a huge amount of unbanked population. So the opportunities, and you have to demystify the way we look at the continent. Of course, it's a very diverse continent with a lot of different velocities, a lot of different populations, a lot of different capacities. But I want to talk about this and about these numbers, and that's my point with this live, is to start highlighting this. So when it comes to blockchain, it's a technology that, of course, can make a leapfrog, especially if it's worked properly. And for instance, Mauritius has been actually leading, at least in terms of mainstream, but Ken has been trying to do a lot of things on that area. There's a lot of fintech companies in Nigeria that is probably the most advanced in terms of these areas. And of course, in terms of the sub-Saharan Africans, there's a lot of challenge of not having a bank account, but all of these people have a WhatsApp, even in 3G. For instance, I work with Mauritania, I work with Angola, and everyone, and as well, I've been working a lot with the French-speaking countries because I've been teaching and doing a lot of work with the African communities. And the point is that there's a huge penetration, like I mentioned, 80% of mobile penetration. And for instance, I remember going to the desert and my 3G was working. And sometimes in the center of London, it doesn't work. So you have to demystify and look at these things as well from different perspectives. So I want to start with some questions related with this, and I don't want to go too much because you can find a lot of statistics, but I was just remembered that in each child getting born, okay, 2 will be African. So I want to start by this. So Jewel, as someone that has been in investment groups, and as well, you're educated in UK, but as well always between Africa and Nigeria, and of course the UK. How do you see this part of the young population and your experience as well being a young lady from Africa, but as well that has been having a very international bridge?
Well, like you mentioned, obviously Nigeria is the largest in so many things. It's not just some of the things you mentioned are some of them, but also we're the largest oil producer in Africa. We're the largest proven gas reserve in Africa. So it's there's so many things that we're known to possess. We have the most the ground, the agricultural ground is fruit, is fertile. We have fertile land, which is why the color green steps in as green, white, green. We have also natural resources. So, and then if you think about the population, we're 210 million in Nigeria, and out of that 210, we've got about 18 million just in Lagos alone. So in Lagos, for example, a good product to talk about, for example, is the V app, which is an app that allows people to basically open a bank account online, which is unusual. If you think about Nigeria about 20 years ago, that was a totally different lifestyle. Everything was quite different in terms of even just the educational system, the way things are done. Most of us had to go to the public schools and things like that. But now you can see there's lots of private universities. The private sector have decided to step in to help the economy. So what we're doing at the end of the day is that, as we build more millionaires, as we build more successful people in Nigeria, it is for them to then step up and create job opportunities, build the hospitals, build the schools, and do these sort of things. So there's been a huge, massive change. And because of the population is so much, you have so much data to play around with. So I give you an example of us stepping in and doing this digital mobile app. It became #1 on Apple's Apple Store, because again, we are the first to ever have a digital banking app. And so we have this opportunity whereby, because of COVID, everyone has happened to, we weren't really affected by COVID in Nigeria. So it gives us an opportunity again to improve on how we distribute this app and how we create different services on the app, in terms of you can use it to send money, you can use it to send money to your friends, your family, you can top up your phone, you can do so many different things with it. So it's just creating this opportunity because of the young generation. They're we have a large number. We can play around with the numbers. We can build data. We can actually look at the data and learn from it. And so we're going through this really amazing learning curve where we have a lot of people that we can use to figure out how we can improve on these apps.
No, completely. And I think this is a big thing, what you mentioned, the idea of the infrastructure, the capacity to build new communities, new technologies, and new infrastructure, because I think that's the opportunity that you have with so much young population. So I want to go to you, Lolita. So from your experience working in technology and being a lady, which is interesting because normally technology is still managed mostly by men, how do you see that part, first of your experience in banking, and of course with the mortgage bank, and as well your experience in leading technology, which is two very different things that complement each other, because banking right now is about technology at the same time.
Yeah. So when I joined Abbey, there was no talk of this digital revolution. It was all about, let's just get our 10 megabits of bandwidth of network services and service all the PCs and the branches can operate. But ever since then, and this is, we're talking about 7 years, a lot has changed. Our priorities have completely changed. We're now looking at how best to serve the customers. We know that customers are more tech savvy because they have access to mobile phones, which are the access to further services is enormous. So we find that we have to pay attention to the new requirements for good service and what we call good service. So it's all about ensuring that customers are able to make transfers, as Jewel mentioned, mobile money. A lot of people want to, conduct their business and in a seamless manner. And even with CBN's regulatory requirements on operating with cash, there's a discouragement of use of cash. So in enforcing people to use mobile technology and ensure that they're able to move their money digitally. And the most important thing that people want to see is that they get their money. So if I initiate a transaction, that money gets to where it's supposed to go. So there's a lot of investment on, on the bandwidth, on cloud computing, so that the service is running continuously, day or night. There's emphasis on security, so that people, their money, they feel safe, they feel that their money is getting to where it needs to go without worrying. So there's a lot of emphasis on cyber security, a lot of emphasis on what is the infrastructure itself within the bank. I think Africa is paying attention and is a good ground with what we're talking about in terms of the percentage of young people, even despite the fact that perhaps all of them don't have access to wealth, they are quick learners and they do find ways to be innovative, and they are aware of ways to transact their business. And even the older generation, I traveled to the eastern part of Nigeria, and I decided to stop and buy some food stuff. And it was interesting to see that there was, as I was adding more things to my bill, I realized I didn't have enough cash. But the lady said to me not to worry. There is a mobile banking agent who could accept the funds at a small fee. And it made me shop even more. So even the market people, the people who don't normally use mobile or don't even think that they're using any form of technology, are beginning to realize that they need to have a bank account or some form of access to funds that they can move from their accounts to other accounts and also be able to receive funds. So there is this awakening now, and there is this attention that we're paying particularly to the digitalization of the financial services.
No, that is amazing. And I think I felt that as well in my different trips in Africa, is that people, for instance, I think one of the best cases that I got for me that was very inspiring was that I was working with the central bank, and I had a visit with a community of fishermen that was remote, was not in the capital of the country. And we had to travel like 2 hours to go there. And what I was excited was that all the fishermen was using WhatsApp to make all their transactions, and they would send the information from the boat actually to the market, and everything was going, and they made the sale and so forth. So I think it's a very, very good point, and that shows as well a lot of things that are happening. So Ized, in terms of media and social media, I know that Africa is very dynamic, And I know that you have you have quite a follow as well on Twitter, and you've been as well involved on both the Luz Media and Digiclan. So can you tell us, first of all, what is Digiclan, and a bit about the social media habits that you see among young population in Nigeria, but as well in other countries in Africa who have been engaging?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So I like talking about Digiclan, so I hope I don't take too long. So Digiclan, like I said, it's a community of digital media professionals or digital media enthusiasts, people who work in the media industry or in the digital marketing space on social media, which is these days pretty much anybody, because around here, as long as you have a mobile phone and access to the internet, you're a social media company or agency. So, but Digiclan gives us so because the barrier to entry in this industry here in Nigeria is so low. What Digiclan aims to do with this is to improve not just the industry but the individuals that are members of the community. So we learn, we network, we collaborate, we learn from each other. So if I know A, you know B, somebody else knows C. If I teach my A, somebody teaches their B, another person teaches their C. Together now we all know ABC, which is much more than we knew before we joined the clan. So there's a lot of learning in the clan. There's a lot of collaboration. So I get a job that requires me to do SEO, but I'm not an SEO expert. I can then collaborate with somebody else in the clan who is an SEO expert, and then together we can deliver better. So the aim of the clan is to deliver better, is data-driven, deliver better services to clients or to customers who want to make use of digital marketing services. And basically to learn more, grow the industry and grow the individual. That's pretty much what the clan is built on, which is why I said it's built on the principles, the ancient African principle of Ubuntu. I am who I am because of who you are. Together as a community, we can grow the industry, we can grow the individual, and ensure that we're doing data-driven digital marketing for Africa. Digiclan is in 8 countries in Africa now, and with over 6,000 members, and it keeps growing. 6,000 registered members. I'm pretty certain that we're more than 6,000, but not everybody has registered. And the clan keeps growing, and our goal is to go global at some point and be in every African country within the next 2-3 years. That's what Digiclan is about.
Amazing. So I think, and I see as well, so just for other community listening to us, we've been having between 350 to 500 people. So I thank everyone involved. And I see that a lot of people are mostly from Nigeria, at least the ones more dynamic here on the chat. So that's, I want to, one question for you, Hilton. So you've been working a lot with big banks like Deutsche Bank and hedge funds. And as well, you mentioned that you've been as well always bridging between both the work you've been doing in the case of both Africa and the rest of the world. So can you tell us a bit of the background and some of the things you've been doing, especially with Africa, that you can actually highlight for the case of what you're doing today, and for the case, especially case studies with banks, with regulators and different institutions?
Perfect, thank you. That's a good question there, Dinis. I mean, it's, how long do we have? But let me just I'll take some elements of it, which will be really, really helpful. I think it's important because I've been looking at all the comments coming through. And one of the things that I made sure of when I was talking about anything that is perceived to be complex or perceived to be dangerous, or I try and break it down into its basic elements and in something that is tangible and useful and has utility for the people involved. And I'll give you an example. I mentioned it before. Why would you be able to sell hedge funds and hedge fund strategies to people in Africa? And people say, well, they're not sophisticated. No, well, of course they're sophisticated. It's your perception of Africa is in such a way that it's too advanced for them. And I hate it when people say that, because if you look at Africa as a whole, I mean, if you look at the Western world, okay, our Western history goes back 2,000-3,000 years. And I'm looking at 3 people here who, if I had to sit and ask you about your oral history of your tribes in Africa, It goes back 10,000 years. So let's try and put these things into context, so that if you break things down into its simple form and what utility it has, the idea of funds, of hedge funds in Africa makes complete sense when the simple truth is you're protecting the capital and you're giving access to high potential, a portfolio of high returning assets where the downside is protected, and you're protecting your money. That's very, very simple. Just as mobile is becoming so important in Africa. Okay, everybody uses mobile and uses chat. Everybody uses a smartphone. Okay, the language that everybody uses, Erlang. Erlang language in chat technology was invented back in the late 70s, 80s. Okay, it's old technology, but it's enabling so much today. We can communicate peer-to-peer with a mobile phone, with messaging. It's very, very simple. Then we talk. I saw one of the questions from Hafiz Oleyewala, who said basically, how can in Africa we get engaged with blockchain and crypto when it's been banned by the Nigerian bank? Okay, no, they've banned crypto. We have to, as Dinis said in the beginning, you have to you have to separate what is blockchain, which is that trust layer that sits on top of the internet, and use cases of blockchain, which are being used by other people, which is the dangerous bit of it. So if you break it down, you've got your trust layer, and you've got bad actors on that platform in the form of some form of crypto, which is bad for that trusted community. That's exactly what the Nigerian bank is saying. I mean, there are other issues as well, we can go into it. But the most important thing is to understand one thing. I learned a new term the other day called WIERD. WIERD. Okay? Stands for Western, industrialized, educated, rich, and developed countries. Okay? That is the 2,000 years I'm talking about that has been driven by by basically Christianity in the West. Okay, and only Christianity came and religions came to Africa how long ago? 200 years ago. In that time, on a history in Africa of 10,000 years. And you have these most powerful communities of people. You talk about Digiclan, Tribe, Ubuntu. This is unique. This is unique to Africa. And the question I want to ask and make aware to people is, we have such a large continent of Africa with so many different tribes. They all work together. How can we ensure that the technology we have today is not amplifying this weird world, but actually building utility for the African tribe world, the African world? And that's where development has to come from. It has to come from Africa with African utility and be used in the African space.
I'm completely with you, and I think I want to go to you again, Jewel. So you have an investment, you're part of an investment group that is fast growing. I want to just, there's a couple of numbers that I think are really important. So this is from the United Nations. So Africa is the most profitable region in the world. A report from the UN Conference on Trade and Development states that between 2006 and 2020, Africa had the highest rate of returning inflows of foreign direct investment, and as well is the economical growth prospects are among the world brightest, and the 12 of the fast-growing countries are in Africa. We mentioned the young population, and we mentioned, of course, the natural resources. So I want to come back to you. So Jewel, you have an experience in oil and gas. You're now part of an investment group that has actually multiple different streams. Can you tell us a bit about your experience both as an investor and as a group, but as well solving a lot of these problems that Hilton touched from a perspective of strategy, but it's all in practice, because you guys are actually doing fantastic things in different verticals, from finance to healthcare and other areas of retail and so forth.
Yeah, so from my experience, I feel that the key thing for me is to help my international investors come into Africa, especially in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a great starting point. Because once you are able to capture whatever investment you want to create in Africa, in Nigeria, you can then cascade that to other parts of Africa. Then you can go to Ghana, you can go to Cameroon, and then because the biggest challenge will be in Nigeria. And because of my team, and we're the sort of people that work with integrity, we're hard workers. We're not trying to like, make some fast money or anything like that. We actually come with the right sort of governance and integrity. So I believe that we are able to create really good relationships with the international investors to bring them into Nigeria. And with the COVID and everything else that just happened, obviously I can tell that there are lots of Nigerians that are happy to stay back in Nigeria and to create more opportunities, because it seems like it's right now there's no travel, it's best to probably stay in-house and create opportunities. And with Nigeria, one of the things that I have noticed is that you can create any opportunity. It's like you have this white canvas and you can just create your own artwork, because there's so much there's so much opportunities, and there's so much possibilities of teaching others and helping others as well. The way I look at it is, for example, if you're in a 5-star hotel in Nigeria, for me, I would say that the standards are still quite low in terms of customer experiences. So there's a huge opportunity to change all these things, actually improve the services. If Nigeria could have really good customer experiences and customer services up to like 8 to 10, I really believe that people hardly want to travel outside Nigeria, because it's a beautiful place. If you're looking for the hustle and bustle of a city, it's there. If you're looking for a rustic sort of like beach lifestyle, it's there. And it's almost like a best kept secret. No one really talks about it, but the opportunities are huge, and there's so many international investors wanting to come in. However, they need someone to hold their hands, and that's where people like myself step in and give them that support. I understand their vision, I understand their goals, and it's just a case of like, guiding them into Nigeria and to help them to grow their business, to fund businesses, and to also, at the end of it, make a lot of money, because we are still talking about 200 and 210 million people. And if you look at it, they're basically saying that every 4 seconds, there's one birth, and every 13 seconds there's one death. But we're talking about, like, if you think about it in the next couple of years, let's say in 2050, we'll probably be larger than the United States of America. So so everyone is coming into Africa, and my role in all of this is to create the right kind of relationships, to create the kind of opportunities for international investors to have the positive stories, to have the encouraging stories, stories that it can work. It's just the case that it might be challenging, but however, nothing is wrong with failure. At the end of the day, it's like a feedback. You learn from it, and then with that learning, that any other part of Africa you can conquer, because you've done Nigeria. Nigeria is just basically a great learning hub for anyone that can then use that learning and transfer it to other parts of Africa. And that's because it starts in Nigeria.
No, completely, and I think you're completely right to think about the opportunities of investment, and as well creating this bridge, because if you see even the biggest economies in the world, they have massive teams just right now pushing everything related with investment and promotion and so forth. So of course Africa needs that as well. So Lolita, from your experience, you mentioned a very good point, that is in the last 7 years in your work in IT and the work with the bank, you saw massive progress from a technology perspective, from even the different kind of segments of audiences engaging, but you saw as well the things changing quite significant. So how do you see right now the present situation, both in terms of technology, in terms of digital maturity, but in terms of the young population that you have to recruit? because it's all about the relationship, and with so much young population. Ized mentioned education, in banking even more, because you need very sophisticated people to scale this. So can you tell us your experience?
Yeah, so I'll start with the young population. When we look at it, I'll look at it in two phases. So we start with the ones that are just being born, you know, the under fives. They're already going to struggle in life because of, you know, poverty, malnutrition, and even being able to go to school. So that's a huge population of young children who already have a struggle to start with. And then we move up to the university, the tertiary education. Again, there needs to be a revolution and more investment in the types of programs, degree programs, which are teaching these young people to take on jobs that are not even around yet. Talk much less of jobs for now. But even the jobs for now, we're finding that these very bright students need to be well equipped to learn more about artificial intelligence, process automation, robotics, and you know, there's so many buzzwords that are out there with regards to technology. However, even despite that, there are, like Joel mentioned, in the private sector, there are a lot of universities and colleges and even high schools who are already have already updated their learning programs to infuse more of this information into the students. So they're already thinking ahead, and they're looking at the possibilities of joining the tech revolution. And the average child today who is in the private sector is very keen on computers. I don't know any child that doesn't pick up a phone or doesn't pick up a computer and knows what to do, because everything is so intuitive, and they're able to grasp very quickly what it takes to communicate, or what it takes to even order a game from online. So there is that change now, and it's actually now not even completely dependent on the formal educational sector, but also the informal educational sector, which is learning what you see and how you see it. So I think Nigeria is very much aligned to that level of development, and there are, you know, other challenges, like, you know, that we have the infrastructure, so the power infrastructure, the internet provision. These are sort of things that hamper the kind of progress and experience, the download speed. Some of these things are hamper the progress, but they don't deter them completely, because you find that people can purchase data, and they've learned how to minimize or maximize or optimize what they have to get what they want. So we're getting there, and I believe that the government will be investing more in technology to help to drive the uptake, and even ensuring that people who are in rural areas are able to have access to this form of technology by having the right infrastructure that will help them to grow. So the traditional banking now is changing, and a lot of, even with CBN's intervention on charges, for instance, on transfers, on withdrawals from ATMs, they are reducing them to encourage people to use them more. So we're going in the right direction. I believe that there's still a lot of work to do, but the key thing is that, as Joe mentioned, if the investment is there, then the wealth is spread even more. There's more opportunities to work, there's more opportunities to grow. So I think in Africa in general, we can already see some of our neighboring countries like South Africa and even Ghana, and the progress that is taking off there. The first thing is stability of infrastructure. There needs to be that infrastructure. There needs to be a way of onboarding these banked citizens who do not trust the banks. So there has to be a better touch point, a better experiences that are being shared with others, that will encourage them to come up to come into the radar, and are able to get their biometric verification numbers so that they can open up accounts. And as Joe said, you can open an account now with a click of some buttons, and you're able to do that. And we also have products which are catered to people who are, who are in the low income sector. So they don't have to provide too much in terms of documentation because of the transaction levels that they tend to perform and the sort of amount that it will be, the turnovers in their account are so small. So there are these products, which these tiered products, which will enable them to just have a photograph of themselves, for instance, and they'll be able to open an account. So I think we are definitely on the right track. And I firmly believe that even with the young generation that we have, which is set to be the highest proportion in terms of demographics by 2070 all over Africa. So that potential is very much there, and that need and that hunger that they have to progress and to be relevant is very much alive. So I'm very hopeful in that regard.
No, amazing, and I like that leap of faith. But as well, I understand that this is going to be all the infrastructure that is necessary, and I think as you build these things, there's so much more opportunities. So, Ized, so there's a couple of questions from the audience around different areas, but I want to just a couple more questions more on the positive side before we go too much on crypto or blockchain. So, in terms of social media stats in Africa, a huge part of the population right now is using Facebook. And Facebook is by far the biggest penetration social network with, in some cases, in terms of Africa in general, around 83% penetration. Then after comes YouTube. And then we have in a second scale, Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram. And LinkedIn comes afterwards. So from your experience in terms of digital, because in the end of the day, this is about digital, about how people use social media, how people get education. What's your, especially for the young people that you've been interacting with Digiclan, because Digiclan, I think, has 6,000 people that you've been actually interacting. How is the experience, and what are the social networks you use or chatting systems that that you can share with us? This is for you, Ized.
Hi. So for Digiclan, our primary social network, surprisingly, though, is WhatsApp. We're in different WhatsApp groups, depending on what country or on what state in Nigeria you are from or you join the clan from. So we're in different WhatsApp groups. But I would think that for the Gen Zs across Africa, Twitter and Instagram is Gen Zs and millennials too. Twitter and Instagram are the primary social media platform that they use. WhatsApp, yes, for texting, for keeping in contact with friends and family, and then for keeping in contact with the community. But mostly Twitter and Instagram are like primary social media platforms that is used in Nigeria and across Africa, where we have the Digiclan community. I've noticed that a lot of them are on Twitter and Instagram. I mean, everybody keeps a Facebook page because, that's where you save your pictures. That's where you save your pictures and drive conversations about your general growth. So everybody has a Facebook page. But in terms of engagement, community, sharing questions, feedback, having back and forth, there's a lot of conversations being started on Twitter, especially when it relates to conversations around driving change, like the NSAS movement. The hashtag started from Twitter and then it cascaded across platforms. There's the Bring Back Our Girls that started from Twitter and then cascaded across platforms. So most of the change conversations are starting from Twitter and then cascading across the different platforms. So I would say the platform I have noticed that the community is really using is Twitter and Instagram, and then also keeping a Facebook page. I did have a question for you, Dinis, because of something that Lolita said, and you are the blockchain expert. I don't know if I can ask you my question.
Yeah, go ahead. This is live. And actually, we have a lot of questions I want to get to the audience, but I wanted to touch this to make it more broader. Go ahead.
Yes. I was thinking about what Lolita said about infrastructure, and I like how hopeful she is. I'm hoping that I can catch some of the hope and enthusiasm that she's giving up. But in terms of like the power sector or the infrastructure development, that the gap, how does blockchain help with improving some of these or in building some of this? Because I know that blockchain technology is really important, but I'm trying to see how blockchain. I'm trying to understand how blockchain really helps with infrastructure development, like especially with the power or with the internet or whatever other deficits infrastructure that we have across Africa.
Yeah, so we have to separate, and I go and separate what is the technology and what is the different applications of technology, which there are a lot, and as well the infrastructure in terms of technology infrastructure for any country. So at the moment, for instance, there's a couple of very big projects worldwide going in terms of process of, for instance, Elon Musk created a new system of internet through satellite, through his system that is right now being distributed. Actually, this month, it starts being distributed worldwide. Google has been doing a lot of systems to include more internet access, because I know that is one of the biggest things when it comes to Africa. And of course, in terms of electricity, there's a lot of different things. So I would suggest that there's two different things that we need to separate. So there's technology, very basic power operations, which I think that's what you were talking, Lolita, and I think that's the key part. So there is much more infrastructure that has to be done and created by countries. But then in terms of digital infrastructure, there's a lot of things that can leapfrog, for instance, using international systems and digital decentralized systems. And this is where it comes, technologies and things like DeFi. So DeFi is decentralized finance in general, but you can actually make a lot of bridges. For instance, Amazon, let me give you an example. Amazon right now is using decentralized technologies to empower e-commerce solutions and to make that, for instance, instead of having, let's say, servers just based in one area, they can be distributed in a lot of different areas. So that means you can decentralize and through different areas get access to more central points, or not central, but more access points for energy, for internet, and for different areas. So that's a very important thing. It's not just about blockchain, but about the infrastructure technology. Then, for instance, when it comes to the I think especially that is going to happen, most of the population in the world is in cities. Okay, and the system of cities right now, of course, there's a lot of, for instance, if you look at the US, what happened in the last couple of weeks with Texas, that went down because of different things. We're going to have climatic change, a lot of challenge coming. But I think the point right now is how can we use global infrastructure of especially decentralized systems of technology that can actually plug in between different areas and different bridges, for satellites, which is what Google and Elon Musk is doing. But there's a lot of things from Microsoft, a lot of big corporations that are doing, and you're working actually in the bridge between all those different things. Then when it comes to the blockchain technology, it's not necessarily just the blockchain technology. But I think what the blockchain technology can accelerate, okay, is the possibility of groups of people. For instance, you have the Digiclan with 6,000, 10,000 people. So if you put all of these people within some kind of decentralized system, you can actually empower them to using both the technology systems, and even banks can use this. A lot of banks are using this. For instance, from big corporation banks to others are looking at this. But then what they're doing is creating systems. Imagine energy systems. You can actually create this energy system, create ways of empowering and rewarding these communities to get better solutions. And I think this is where the blockchain solution is going to be making a big leapfrog in terms of empowering different communities that at the moment are not being empowered. For instance, a good example is, for its Fiverr platform. So I use a lot Fiverr platform, and Fiverr platform is a platform where you can actually hire anyone for $5. And I remember when this started, there was very small people, and there was a small startup. Now it's almost a $500 million, actually over $1 billion company or close to that. And it's empowering a lot of people that are creating entire jobs within these platforms. So I think that is one of the things that I think are more interesting. And it comes to the sense of community and using this, for instance, and I think this is where banks like the ones that we have here, Mortgage Bank, Abbey, there's VBank, that's where they can actually start empowering and creating a lot of ways, making marketplaces where we actually can leverage this. Because at the moment, I think one of the things that you see is that most of the world economy is being led by the likes of Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and all these big corporations. And they have like very different areas. For instance, Microsoft has one of the biggest blockchain systems in the world. And people don't know about that, but it's this. And for instance, if you look at Amazon right now, is actually creating their own blockchain as a service. So I think in one end we have payment systems and reward community systems. Then there's community ways of looking at energy. For instance, imagine I could put a way of finding and sending routers to all the community of Digiclan, and all these routers together create a central of communication between the areas where you're based in Africa or in the cities where you are. And this is where there's a lot of case studies right now being created, and there's a lot of corporations. And I would urge a lot of people listening to us that study these things. For instance, I know that there's not a lot of access to the internet, and sometimes it's difficult, but you all find in different ways. It's like London. I just had a crash in my internet and I'm in the center of London. So this is happening to all places. So, but I think one thing I would suggest is, for instance, if you look at platforms like Abbey, that is one of the biggest tokens and actually infrastructure of communities. They have a lot of grants to help projects like this. For instance, Tezos is another one. There's plenty. There's well, a lot of other examples. I'm not going right now to just highlight one or two. And I think what I feel is that right now is the bridges of banks. For instance, if you look at the most innovative neo banks in Europe, they're right now taking over a lot of other things. So if you make the bridge between these two different areas, I think that's where the innovation can come. And of course, when it comes to the empowerment, I think that's the most important thing, because one of the biggest challenges with young population is how the jobs won't exist the way they have been existing right now. So for instance, Lolita, I'm sure that right now you are recruiting more digital people than ever, because you need digital people. And it's not easy to find digital savvy people. And I think that's the challenge, where we need to find these platforms to find the bridge between empowering on the way of getting new jobs, new solutions, and even platforms like ours, and finding ways of creating rewards for them. And I think that's very important. And I think there's a couple of questions here. I will just go for one of the questions that I like from the audience. That is, how can African leaders be made to see the potentials of blockchain behind just cryptocurrencies? So I did an article because I did a conference about Africa recently, and I did an Africa because I was, instead of just trying, it's a bit of, I want to touch this because it's about the metaphor of teaching people how to fish, not necessarily how to just get the fish, the old proverb. But I think it's the point right now is that most of the governments around the world have to take blockchain serious, because it's becoming the biggest, fast-growing technology around the world. And digital innovation, fintech, decentralized technology, and cryptocurrencies are here to stay. But it's about the way you demystify this and you create an economy. And at the moment, the very important thing is that the cryptocurrency market is $1.6 trillion, and the world ecosystem of GDP is around 80 trillion. So this is already almost 5% of the world economy. But I think the context is not just about one thing or the other. It's putting all of this together. It's like an orchestra, and we need to put this together and find ways of balancing this. And for instance, I think a good example for the people that want to learn about this, I suggest people to go to the areas, for instance, of leveraging education platforms. For instance, even Coinbase. So Coinbase is a great example. Coinbase is going to be the first IPO in crypto, or at least directly in crypto. Is $100 billion plus. They have in their board former directors of the Central Bank of the US, former directors of multiple central banks, and they've been always making the bridge between conventional finance, most innovative technology, and other things. And for instance, one of the things is that they're going to be a kind of a new Facebook for creating communities, but the difference is that in Facebook, no one is making money besides Facebook. And that's the challenge Facebook right now is facing, but they have our data. But if we manage to create platforms that can empower these communities, then I think everyone can win. And I think that, I don't know, I want to pass probably the talk to the ladies here. I don't know, Lolita, from your experience, how do you see this? And as well, Jewel and Hilton as well, because I think that's the idea here. And there's a lot of questions, but they all go back to this. So I want to probably, the community is only asking this, so we have to answer to this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the blockchain, the potential for blockchain is, I did read somewhere that there are the big major accounting firms such as Deloitte and PwC and KPMG, they are subscribed heavily to blockchain because they're using that information, that technology to create risk solutions for customers. So because of the purity of the information coming from blockchain, it's a good point of reference to create artificial intelligence that could build solutions for banks, for instance. So I'm looking forward. I'm excited because these companies, these consultancies are already in Nigeria. So I'm looking forward to them coming up with these solutions. I'm leaning on them to come up with ways we can curb money laundering and financing of terrorism, ways we can build products, and ways we can also look at our cybersecurity. So there's a lot of potential for and ways that blockchain can support the banking industry.
I mean, Lolita, what your experience is fascinating. And I'll take one interesting aspect of that. And that is Abbey, which is a traditional mortgage bank in UK, okay? I understand. And they go to Nigeria and they start doing the traditional way of doing business. And they could do a complete 180, okay, and change their whole technology platform, their whole approach, and utilizing smart things. And what you're saying is fantastic. Is starting to use technology which is fit for purpose in Nigeria and in Africa. So this is, I love this metaphor of we, with, excuse me, no, white male, educated white male, okay, think that we can build stuff, take it to Africa, and then Africa, and it's going to work for them. No, it's not. And, we have to learn that, the customer is always right.
Okay.
What they want. And
Thanks, Hilton. Sorry, Hilton, I need to make a small correction there. Abbey Mortgage Bank has nothing to do with Abbey in the UK. This is completely different. Yes, I think Abbey in the UK now is called Santander. So they've actually been bought by a Spanish bank. So Abbey Mortgage Bank is born and bred in Nigeria. So I just thought I'd point that out.
But the metaphor was the same.
But I understand what you're saying. I understand the principle.
That's for example. Take Facebook. Who built the algorithm for Facebook? Who built the algorithms for Google? With due respect, for white guys. You're going to build in inherent biases and viewpoints and that are completely not fit for purpose. We need people like the people I'm talking to today to be those leaders in AI, to be those leaders in building the technologies, because they're building stuff that's fit for purpose for their communities, for their environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can't export this to them, but we can enable them using trusted technologies like blockchain. Blockchain is, as I said, a trust layer. It's not crypto. There's lots of questions and comments on that. Business African leaders was one of the questions earlier on in terms of adoption of blockchain and crypto. Well, they don't, it's not just Africa, it's the rest of the world. They don't know what the difference is between blockchain and crypto. It's been created by what's happened in the past. As I said, Erlang is a language for communication on mobile phones. It's old. Blockchain is an old technology. It's been around since the 80s as a concept. But it's what people do with it.
Yes.
And the central banks in Africa are terrified of crypto. Why? It's because they can't manage their money supply. They can't manage the economy because suddenly, like in Pesa, 50% of the GDP of a country is sitting on the balance sheet of two telcos. That's a massive risk in terms of governance of a country. I have a corporate, which is telco and Vodacom, where 50% of my economy is sitting on the balance sheet of these telcos. That's a massive risk for me. as the
I think the point here, and I think without going too much into the politics, I think in the end of the day, it has to be a bridge. We have to bridge different areas, and a lot of this is education. I would say that the biggest challenge, and I think I always like to quote Yuval Noah Harari, because it's one of the things he says is that the future will be countries that or they take ownership of their data, like it was mentioned before, and you mentioned that, Jewel, and you, Lolita, as well, is owning the data and educating on the data. And I think I said, to your point, 90% of this is much more about how we get this to serve our economies. Chris, I'm working with one of the most advanced robots in the world, is Ized robot. And ironically, Ized robot was built in Oxford with the University of Birmingham, and some of the engineers are from Egypt. And for instance, right now, Egypt is trying to take the robot, which is a completely prototype of one of the most advanced robots in the top university in the world, and take it to Egypt, to the pyramids, to show that they built a robot. And it's true. It was an Egyptian developer that did part of that. So I think this part here is about that technology is not just about me, you, it's about how we can actually put all together and what solutions we take out of this. And I think for me, that's the most important of events like this. And I think how we can actually question, but as well finding the balance. Because in the end of the day, it's not so much about crypto, blockchain, AI. It's more about how can this solve my problem. And that's the end of the day, the technology will survive and they will take us forward, is that. Yeah. So I think the banks are all facing their problems. I'm not going to here criticize one versus the other. I think we need to work together. And I think what I urge the people listening to us, which have been having around 500 people and coming back and going, is more about, okay, please study these things, okay, and study it, and because there's a lot of work for everyone that study this, and I think use these platforms, and I'm sure that Jewel, Lolita, and Ized will come the best people that can show results and actually can show capacity of engaging digitally will be the ones that will be succeeding. But this is not easy. It implies a huge amount of work. So Lolita, I want to come back to your point, because in the end of the day, you being working on technology and as well in the major bank, what has been your struggle to find people qualified? And as well, do you see, for instance, the universities in Nigeria, the organizations that you've been recruiting, how has been your challenges, and as well the most interesting case studies they can tell us?
It has been challenging. All the good people are taken. We find that we're constantly looking for developers, people who understand network security. And so you find that they are very few, but very highly qualified and highly skilled. And what you tend to find is that these people are not exactly loyal either, because they know they know their worth, so they're ready to move on to the next opportunity within a year or two. So you have to. We find that we have to, once we get really good, highly skilled technical people, we want to ensure that we maximize their engagement. We make sure we build the platforms and create the products that we need. We ensure that there is some form of vetting of what we have on the ground to find ways of improving. So it's a very quick, it's like speed dating. It's like, you see somebody and then you're moving on to the next. So, but even that's the interesting thing, is that a lot of people are learning from taking on courses. They're self-training, they're self-taught. A lot of them are training themselves to be better, and they want to be they want to be highly regarded, especially in institutions. And like Joel mentioned, the V Bank, there are lots of banks now. There are the fintechs, the digital banks. They're actually pushing the barriers of the services that the traditional banks are giving, because of the drive for this revolution and this evolution as well. So we find that I find that when we do find, and word gets around, there's a lot of people who know people. So what I tend to do is find out from other people in the tech who are also leaders of the So
I think we had
it's a challenge, and I'm sure that all banks go through the same thing.
Yeah, and I think
So,
you touched the
Lolita,
most important. You touched one thing, and I want to pass to you probably, Jewel, and then for you, Ized, because the point right now you just mentioned, you're looking for people, and the people are not there. So everyone listening to us, please focus on this, and that's what I've been telling all of my students, what I've been teaching, because the point is that people are not. And there's, for instance, you're asking what is blockchain. There's thousands of websites teaching about this. Thousands. For instance, if you create a small account in Coinbase, you can actually get rewarded to learn. So Coinbase at the moment is offering, for instance, I made $50 just learning about new coins. And there's plenty of platforms that are actually offering money for you to learn. So I think there's a lot of platform, and I think this is probably what we need to focus more instead of just talking about Bitcoin and things like that. Is more learn. I think there's a lot of opportunities. Jewel, on your and I think Jewel, on your experience as well, because you have being on the investment bank and as well bridging with the technology. You come from oil and gas. You work with the Tony Elimanu, that is one of the most famous personalities in Africa as well. How we've been seeing this, because I think we need to demystify a lot of these things as well.
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
No, my question is, from your experience working with a lot of different people, from oil and gas to investment, finance, and even studying and making the bridge between Europe and Africa and Nigeria, what has been the biggest myths and challenge you've been saying? Because I think, I know that you are always keeping learning and keeping getting forward, like Lolita mentioned, but some ideas or some of the things that trends, because I know that people are a bit lost and there's unfortunately a lot of unemployment, but there's as well a lot of opportunities, and people have to have the willingness to keep learning and moving forward. So I would like to listen from you.
I believe that this gap is not really recognized. It's just by having these sort of like these discussions that it becomes more obvious, like more clear to me. Because I mean, for me, this is I'm unaware of this, and it's the first time I'm hearing about the challenges. Because when I look at the amount of unemployment, it's massive. I guess at the end of the day, it's a case of like, what are the private sectors doing again? What are the public sectors doing in terms of like institutions for like learnings and things like that? And also whether it's a new project that we need to look into in terms of finding solutions to this by creating more like online training and making that available, in terms of like investing in other people. I mean, that's one of my passions, investing in the younger generation and especially the ones that are ready to learn. And I believe that the Nigerians have the strongest entrepreneurial spirit I've ever seen in the world. They're ready to work, and they're ready to work hard, and it's not about the money. It's more about, they want to be challenged. They want to feel like they're worth something, and they have the staying power as well. They do want to stay in their jobs. They don't want to be fired. They don't want to be sacked. They want to actually stay for most of their, career. So I guess it's a case of like, I guess for me is to really look into it and see if there's an opportunity that we can sort of like create an institution or some sort of like awareness around that. Because like I said, in other parts of the world, I mean, like, there's just been like lots of unemployment. So this is news to me.
Completely. So Ized, you go ahead.
Yeah, go. So sorry. I just wanted to add, because of some of the statements Lolita and Joel have made, that this is where communities like Digiclan and TribeAfrica are great for partnerships. You can train these people in advance or work with these communities to ensure that you're only getting the best hires from the community.
Yeah.
And then there's a pool of people who are constantly learning, and just being able to hire from a single source by supporting and sponsoring this community ensures that you constantly have good hires, regardless of how long they stay or whether they stay for a long time or stay for a short time. And because they're getting this support from the community, they're most likely to stay longer working for you, especially if you have some sort of hand in their getting educated in these IT or tech or technology infrastructure for your business. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to put it out there that partnerships with communities like Digiclan or with TribeAfrica and a lot of other tech communities. There's 4Loop tech communities, also a very huge community out of Nigeria, and it's across Africa. So just being able to partner with these communities and sponsor in terms of training these communities will ensure that you constantly have good hires. I just wanted to add that for
thank you.
so that next time
That's a very good point, and thank you for that, Ized. Can I just say something? I mean, like when I worked for Schlumberger, we all came into Schlumberger with zero experience, and then we go through this 10-week training course, 10 weeks before you can actually start work. So this is that's a great idea that Schlumberger has created, and it's different areas. They go into health and safety for a whole week, and they go into different, so it's just different kinds of training. And it was after the 10 weeks, that's when you start work, and that's something that's probably can be implemented in other organizations as well.
Yeah, I think this is for me probably the most important thing, education, but it's all education that comes with the practical level, because in the end of the day it has to be, we have to prepare people to this kind of new digital, and first, most of the education nowadays is not prepared for this, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge. So we're passing 1 hour now. I think everyone probably needs a break. I thank you. We still have around close to 150 people from all over the world. I don't know if there's any more relevant questions from the audience, or actually from everyone here listening to us, or even from the speakers, because in the end of the day, this is a live.
To say something on it.
I want to talk a bit more about the OBC Summit, the Open Business Council Summit that's happening in March, because I think that's an important, really important conversation to have now, so that more people will know about the summit.
Thank you, Al. I think I forgot about that, but it's an important thing. So the Open Business Council Summit, it was created precisely to tackle a lot of these problems, and I think both me and Hilton, our community, we created this because we were approached by a lot of governments. They were actually challenged and actually facing the problems we're talking here. Actually, this was three governments that came to us asking, can we do a summit to discuss some of the challenge with digital transformation, blockchain, crypto, and all these different things? And what we decided, okay, instead of just trying to do one event individual, let's do an event global. There is the Open Business Council Summit, and it's a bit like a web summit, completely digital, with people from all over the world. It has 3 days. The next one is going to be the 20th, 21st, and 22nd of April. We have as well the awards for the first time. That is a bit like X Prize awards for startups all over the world. So any startup here listening to us, or people involved in startup of SMEs, feel free to engage. It can be a medium one, a small one, or a very tiny one that just started, as long as you're creating some solutions in the areas of both. We have 6 areas that are very broader, and we put broader precisely to everyone to have an opportunity to get involved. But what we're trying to do is mostly finding a way to look at solutions. And we're talking about artificial intelligence, 360 solutions, blockchain, decentralized finance and fintech solutions, smart cities and GovTech, governmental technologies, digital wellness, well-being and healthcare tech, social media, big data and analytics, and everything related with this, which is massive, and social impact, so disability, digital inclusion, and ESG technology, so environmental, sustainable governance, technology, and solutions. And the idea of the summit is precisely reflect about this. It's open to everyone in the planet. The ticket size to get in is $20, so it's I think affordable to everyone. It's just to make sure that people that sign up, they appear, because sometimes people don't sign up, or sign up and they don't appear. And we have, very important thing is that we have around 120 speakers, actually more than 120 speakers, including prime ministers, ministers of finance, ministers of science and technology, and countries like Japan, UK, France, deputy mayor of Paris, and prime minister. I'm not going to mention all the names, but what I try to do, and I think the idea of the TribeAfrica, I hope that this is the beginning of a wave that we can actually relate as well. We have a lot of people from Africa. Hilton has been working, for instance, with the Casablanca Stock Exchange, and we're trying to make bridges. And of course, I've been involved with a lot of startups. Actually, I invest in 2 startups in Nigeria as well. And I think it's really important that we actually bridge the best talent, because this is the good things about the digital. Sometimes we only think about the bad things, but the good things is that anyone can actually get engaged on this.
And you must mention, now this is very, very important, that the winners of the awards have the opportunity to win some substantial prizes, okay? Which include, if structured through the UK, a significant amount of potential investment, getting in front of accelerators who will fast track you through the process into the accelerators programs. Then on top of that, the credits that we brought on board from third-party suppliers to the winners of the awards, totaling, so if you total the whole package across the six categories, it's more than $1 million. So I would encourage...
It's 1.5 actually, but $1 million direct money, and probably a lot of other things will be in incentives for startups and partnerships as well with smart cities and big actually smart cities around the world. So I think everyone involved, and feel free to subscribe in the openbusinesscouncil.org. Just go to the website and you'll find information. But I think my point here for today, and I think probably wrapping up, I don't know, Lolita or Jewel or Ized, if you want to give a final thoughts. For the ones still with us, we still have around 150 people, at least. The YouTube sometimes has a delay. I don't know if there's any things that you want to have. I mentioned here, I see that Joanne Kelly is mentioned online training is a great idea. We're going to be doing more online training. We are partnershiping with multiple online platforms like Udemy and Talent Edge. I think it might be something we might be doing with the Luz Media and with Digiclan, some digital courses on Fintech, for instance. And it would be good to invite Lolita, Jewel, because I think you can as well be mentors for a lot of young people in Africa and in Nigeria.
Thank you, Dinis. I'm looking forward to that, actually. That'll be great.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm looking at 3 people in front of me who are going to be changing the world. And I'm really excited to know all of you. Your energy, your passion, your commitment and motivation is encouraging. And I thank you for the opportunity of
Thanks a lot, Hilton. Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the comics. So excited about that one.
Absolutely.
No, thank you so much. It's been a huge honor. So I thank everyone listening to it. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of more questions. I've been checking the questions. I put a lot of links here for us for the ones that want to learn more, to just go to some of the links and engage, because there's a lot of information online, that even in our websites, but as well even on this YouTube channel. And I'm sure that we're going to be doing much more, because I have a huge passion for Africa, and I love the concept of TribeAfrica. I think you should trend this and make this a big community, because as well, even in universities.
Yes. I mean, if you literally go to the YouTube channel of this, you'll see all ways to communicate with us, with Digiclan, with Jewel, with everybody who's represented here. Engage with us, get involved. You know, we'll get back to you. DM us on our social media channels. We even an old man like me at 60 years old, I'm relatively just.
You're not old. You're not old.
No, Hilton is a great example, because as my partner has been actually one of the most digital learning person in all my team, and him and me are the oldest in the team. So I want to actually provoke everyone listening to us to be more digital and learn how to use the tools for you. I don't know, Lolita, any last word, or you, Jewel and Ized, the ladies here? This is Africa Power.
Yes.
I would prefer to hear you.
So it's all very encouraging. So everyone should stand by. You know, let's just ride this wave, because it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, and Nigeria is definitely the place to be. Nigeria is representing the whole of Africa. So all the invest in Africa is the future.
We know that. Thank you.
And very important thing. So Jewel is going to be speaking on the Open Business Council. So and potentially you, I will probably make a push as well to you, Lolita, as well, because you're a great speaker, and Ized. So I think it's really important that we have that dynamic. And the very important thing on the awards ceremony, we're going actually to have one or two concerts as well from Africa. So the awards will be not only just for receiving the prizes, but as well there will be some concerts live. So the people listening to us, I would love this community to as well engage with us. And of course, and we have a lot of events that we're going to be doing. So please engage with us.
And the
Sounds good.
party, even if it's digital. So hang on to it.
Very good. So, well, thank you all. It's been a pleasure. We still have a lot of people. I think we'll continue probably doing this in some weeks, and we'll keep engaging with the community. Thank you all. Thank you, Lolita. Thank you, Jewel. Thank you,
Ized.
Thank you, Hilton.
Everybody.
Have a lovely
Thanks.
evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.